Does it says it here?
It says okay. Good. We're good? Are we rolling on there? Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Nice to see you all.
It's as you can see, the 2nd of August, the 27th of Tammuz on the Jewish calendar. I know that's a Babylonian kind of name, but it's been the name in use for a long time. Mm-hmm. So tonight we have some special friends. I can see Dr. Tabor, who nearly escaped Israel. Kind of felt like we did when we were down by the Gaza border.
I felt like that when it hit that we just get out.
They called us while we were in the desert filming. We have an unfinished video. But having said all that, Shabbat Shalom. Ronnie Fulcher had requested that we added the Kiddush for the bread and the wine, which we're also going to add tonight. So we're not only welcome the Sabbath, but Patty's going to read.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to start with my usual here. I hope everyone likes it. If you have another idea for a song, please let me know. And I'm always willing to try new things, but this is my favorite. Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu ladlinu shel Shabbat. So
we ask the presence of Shabbat to be in our home and your homes, as Nikita says, in the congregation of the Most High. Of course, hopefully she'll be on tonight, and I just want to hear her say that if she says nothing else at all.
Okay. So in continuing with the candle lighting blessing, I'd like to say, Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech ha'olam hamotzi lechem min ha'aretz. So blessed are you, Yehovah, our God, ruler of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. And I'd also like to say, Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech ha'olam borei pnai hagafen. Blessed are you, Yehovah, our Elohim, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. And the fruit of the vine doesn't have to necessarily be wine. It could be whatever fruit from the vine that you enjoy.
Why wouldn't you want it to be wine? Jehovah said that he gave us this to be glad.
Well, a week to have a glass of wine on Shabbat. I've been doing it for the past 30 years. So
hopefully you know that we're kidding, people.
Yeah, we're kidding. It's going to be a while before I switch over to grape juice, but I'm always open to new things.
I started making wine when I was 7 years old with my grandfather from Italy. And we made dark red wines. And
that homemade wine, let me tell you, there are no regulations on the alcohol content on that. So
it was good, though.
It was good, but you got to be careful.
But as I was squishing the grapes, I probably said this before. I'll say it really quickly. I said to my grandfather, Grandpa, where did you find an Italian woman to marry, Grandma? I said, Davide, your grandmother. She's not an Italian. Really? What is she? She's Napolitan. She's from Naples, which is in Italy, but, it's Naples. So I go upstairs to the grandmother after I clean my feet, and I said, Grandma, what? I didn't know you weren't Italian. She goes, what do you mean? I said, you're Napolitan. And she knew that my grandfather told her. And they spoke in Italian. I learned some choice words that day. Yeah. Anyways, one of the things we do to welcome Shabbat is, I think, the most important command of the entire Tanakh. Shema Israel. So I like reading it. Hear, O Israel, Elohim, our Elohim. Elohim is one. And you shall love Elohim, your Elohim, with all your heart and with all your soul, very exceedingly. And these words, which I am commanding you today, shall be upon your heart and taught incisively to your children. And you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and as you walk along the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they will be as bands between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorframes of your house and your gates, because Elohim made a covenant with you in Oreb on the day of assembly. I feel powerful emotions every time I read that. because Elohim commanded this. This isn't some guessing. It's him, the Almighty, the power of all powers. The importance of the Sabbath is my second slide, and it's from the Moses scroll. It's the second commandment. It doesn't matter which or the 10 it is for you. Sanctify the seventh day, and you shall cease on it, because in 6 days I made the heavens and the earth, and all that is in them, and I ceased on the seventh day. Therefore you shall also cease, you and your animal, and all that is yours. I am Elohim, your Elohim. Obviously, their animals were used for work. And if you live near the Amish or the Mennonites, you know that the animals are used for work.
But what other faith includes animals on a day of rest?
Or the Sabbath. No other religion has the Sabbath.
I mean, yeah, exactly. But if you ever go to the Middle East, you can see how some of these surrounding countries treat animals.
It's disgusting.
I mean, it's just disgusting. And for God to put this provision in for the animals, I think is pro.
God cares about animals. I always like to read This Week in History, just so we can go back and remember some things and don't forget. In 1322, the third expulsion from France, after having been allowed back into France in the year 1315, after the expulsion in 1306 by Philip IV, the Jews were once again expelled from France by Charles IV, who thus broke the pledge made by his predecessors in 1315 that the Jews would be able to stay in France for at least 12 years. There's this thing that follows the Jews around. Something that might be important to us. Actually, the formal signing of the Declaration of Independence by 56 people is this date in 1776. Across the lake, 5 miles from us, General Floyd was one of the signers, and his house stands here today. In 1790, the first U.S. Census was conducted. Our population at the time was 3.9 million, including nearly 700,000 slaves. Always must remember the past. I was having a great week in our work. I don't want to get into that. It's the Sabbath. But in the writing of my book, I was really digging into the 4 powers that we have in nuclear physics and in physics. And one of them in the name Yud Hey Vav Hey, I see a lot of
parallels.
Yeah. Okay. But here's something that recently came to me. At high energies, this is just so mind-boggling. It floored me. At high energies, really high energies, godlike energies, the 4 forces become one force. How's that for you? Put that in your smoker and think about it. That's not what we're going to talk about tonight, but I did have a revelation, scientific revelation this week, and it just knocked me out. Because it didn't say it split into 12 or, it said
it became one.
It became one. So because of our work and because of our faith and because of our friendship, many people in Israel are under the threat of an attack from Iran. I'm going to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it from a biblical perspective. I'm going to talk about a psalm, and Patty is going to talk about the book of Daniel, and then we'll open it up to the floor for people to discuss. So for the next slide, I put these on the slides. You know this slide, Psalm 22. I was glad when they said to me, let us go unto the house of Jehovah. Our feet are standing within thy gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem, that art builded as a city that is compact together. Whither the tribes go up, even the tribes of Jehovah, for an ordinance for Israel, to give thanks unto the name of Jehovah. For there are set thrones of judgment, the thrones of the house of David. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper that love thee. Peace be within thy walls and prosperity within thy palaces. For my brethren and my companions' sake, I will now say, peace be within thee. For the sake of the house of Jehovah, our God, I will seek thy good. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Patty's going to read a prayer from Daniel, and then we're going to have some discussions. That's the first,
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Well,
Daniel chapter 9.
Daniel chapter 9, beginning in 3. Well, I think this is so relevant because Daniel is giving a heartfelt plea to Jehovah, and there is kind of a feeling of desperation. And I feel that a lot of people are feeling that right now, and that this prayer is also very relevant for today. It's a bit long, so
Okay, read
so
it.
don't feel free to do something else if you have to, but I just feel it is really important. Okay, so, and I set my face unto Adonai.
Just read it.
Okay, I'm trying to get the.
No, just read it the way it's the American Standard Version.
Okay, to seek by prayer and supplications with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. And I prayed unto Jehovah my God and made confession. And I said, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, who keeps covenant and loving kindness with them that love him and keep his commandments, we have sinned and have dealt perversely and have done wickedly and have rebelled, even turning aside from your precepts and from your ordinances. Neither have we hearkened unto your servants the prophets, that spoke in your name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. O Lord, righteousness belongs unto you, but unto us confusion of face, as at this day to the men of Judah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and to all Israel, that are near and that are far off, through all the countries where you have driven them because of their trespasses that they have trespassed against you. O Lord, to us belongs confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against you. To the Lord our God belong mercies and forgiveness, for we have rebelled against him. Neither have we obeyed the voice of Jehovah our God to walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants the prophets. Yea, all Israel has transgressed your law, even turning aside, that they should not obey your voice. Therefore has the curse been poured out upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, for we have sinned against him. And he has confirmed his words, which he spoke against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven has not been done as has been done upon Jerusalem. As it is written in the law of Moses, all this evil is come upon us, yet we have not entreated the favor of Jehovah our God, that we should turn from our iniquities and have discernments in your truth. Therefore has Jehovah watched over the evil and brought it upon us. For Jehovah our God is righteous in all his works which he does, and we have not obeyed his voice. And now, Lord our God, that has brought your people forth out of the land of Egypt with a mighty hand, and has gotten renown, as at this day we have sinned and we have done wickedly. O Lord, according to all your righteousness, let your anger and your wrath, I pray thee, be turned away from your city Jerusalem, your holy mountain, because for our sins and the iniquities of our fathers, Jerusalem and your people are become a reproach to all that are round about us. Now therefore, O our God, hearken unto the prayer of your servant and to his supplications, and cause your face to shine upon the sanctuary that is desolate, for the Lord's sake. O my God, incline your ear and hear. Open your eyes and behold our desolations, and the city which is called by your name. For we do not present our supplications before you for our righteousnesses, but for your great mercy's sake.
That's it. That's the last of it.
Amen.
No, right there.
O Lord, hear, O Lord, forgive, O Lord, hearken and do. Defer not for your own sake. Oh my God, because your city and your people are called by your name.
And,
Amen.
and so I feel that's Daniel. That's Daniel praying. Think about that for a moment. It's Daniel.
But isn't it interesting how sometimes history is a spiral and things come back around that are revisited, for learning and for whatever reasons,
Yeah.
for the purpose.
What comes after that is the 70 weeks prophecy, which there's been a lot of talk about on the discussion here in the Oreb server on Discord. I would like to know, any of you would like to talk?
Yeah, do you have any thoughts about this?
Think about this, about what's going on in the world?
Or even just, as we'd like to hear from you.
Yeah. I think that it's important that you let us know how you're doing as well. I feel this could get ugly. There's reasons why I don't think it will get ugly, as ugly as it could get. But the nations are surrounding Israel and Jerusalem, and whether or not you feel the people in Israel have been righteous or not is, I don't believe, really yours or mine to say. I know there are righteous people there because I've been there. And I know there's people that aren't righteous there.
But as a nation, I feel that they're dealing with these current situations righteously.
They're trying to.
And are being persecuted for dealing with it righteously.
Yes. So anyways, if anyone wants to talk about this or the ninth chapter of Daniel, please raise your hand. But we'll talk about some of the other things in the world right now. It's really pretty hard to listen to all the stuff that's going on and understand and try to, I think Dr. Tabor has given many good talks about this. What fails about prophecy? What's failed? People try to say, "Oh, I figured out when the end of time is," and it's a great exercise. You'll learn your Bible and you'll learn history, but I don't know if you heard about the Millerites, which was in upstate New York. They figured, I think it was what they felt was the Yom Kippur in 1844, somewhere around there, and they all sold everything and they stood out in front of the church and. Jesus didn't come back, and he goes, "Oh, I forgot year zero, so it's next year or something like this." And he didn't come back. But two really major religions sprouted from that. Upstate New York is a fountain of bizarre religions.
I think it's because of the winter. Some people are stuck inside.
Yeah.
Think about it.
And one of them was the Jehovah's Witnesses, and the other was the Seventh-day Adventists. And so the Adventist religions kind of came out of upstate New York. Also, we had, of course, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormons. We had the United Silversmiths, who had a cult here.
They used to come to our house.
Who?
All of them.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't anymore.
No. we bring them in the library and say, "Sit down, let us talk."
Or they'll come Saturday and we'll say Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, then they'll run. Oh. Anyways, that's another story. But
Russell did a good study on the Daniel 70 weeks.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of speculation and
Yeah. Who's what and where? I don't know. Are you checking the?
Let me check. Okay.
Yeah. The YouTube. So we have YouTube and Discord. Dr. Tabor wants to be invited to speak. Ralph Bunton says Shabbat Shalom. Miriam, hello Miriam. Julia B. Nikita, Shabbat Shalom. Yeah. No, we got Betty. All right. Did Dr. Tabor get on? I'm not sure if he did. Thought he just, I did accept you, James.
that she loves my roses. Thank you, Mariana. They just popped today. They're like this beautiful pink.
Yeah. Huh.
He'll come back. Maybe he went to.
No, his hand is up, and I accepted his. Did you accept, James? I know there's all this, comms that you got to do. Did you accept the fact that I accepted you, or is that the way it goes, Ross? Yeah, but he put his hand up, James, and I accepted his talk. Maybe it's not working. I don't know, James, but we know that you're going to say something, hopefully, because you just came back. And I know that we definitely want to hear from him.
Because he just got back from Israel and has some kind of harrowing trip and a bunch of stories to tell.
Yeah,
he shares some of that.
Yeah. He actually hit his hand up though to talk, and I accepted it, but it didn't come up.
Yeah, he just left.
Yeah. So all right, he'll come back. But this. Also from we got Libby wants to speak, right? This is also a time in the Jewish calendar of destruction. As we go. As we go. I said yes to Libby.
But they're not popping up.
Huh.
Is it you need to do something with the screen, like split it or something?
I don't know. She's not coming up. Let me see. Libby's hand went up, and I said yes to her. Something happened there, Ross?
It's different every time we do it.
Invite to speak. Ross Nichols is typing.
Okay, while you're doing that,
all right.
The formula in Daniel 9 reminds me of Moses and Yom Kippur apocalypsis. That's a word. That's a word for today, apocalypsis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ara.
I don't understand. We're not getting anybody. I tried allowing Chuck to come up.
Do you have to check any of those boxes?
No, I didn't touch any of the boxes.
Okay, should I text Ross?
Yeah, Ross knows. Works every week. Chuck went on earlier. Maybe let me see. Maybe I should go out and come back in, Ross. What do you think?
Barry Page says Shabbat Shalom from Australia.
He's from a land down under. I'm not sure why it's not happening. Okay. I'm not sure what Ross is doing something here. There's Libby.
There.
She came up. Libby, you got to unmute yourself. Chuck, yeah, they're all coming on now.
Go.
There we go. Libby, can we hear you, Libby?
I'm here.
All right. Hi, Libby. We see you.
Hello. Shabbat Shalom from Southwest Missouri. I will give you a little. I'll give you a little hint. I went to my little icon where it shows all the people.
Yeah.
And I tapped it, and then up in the corner it said to accept or not, or to decline. So that may be the problem. We're not knowing to go to our little picture on where we have all the audience.
Yes. I think everyone's speaker now, so we're good. We're good, Libby. What's on your mind, Libby?
Well, James Tabor's walking his dog, and it brought up something in my mind, and my husband and I have been very puzzled. The last week, our son-in-law had a dog that when they came here and stayed in our RV while we were building their house, the dog decided to stay here. And I made a joke about her wanting to stay where the old folks are because she was old.
Yeah.
She couldn't hear.
Oh, no.
She had been run over 3 times. There was just a lot of things about the dog, but when we would come home, she would just frisk around like she was such a puppy, She was so excited. Anytime I was out in the yard working or go in my greenhouse and work, she would always come and lay and keep an eye on me. I have disability, and she just seemed to be my caregiver. She always looked out for me. And she went missing a week ago. after she seemingly had a stroke.
Oh.
And she was having a real hard time getting around. And we were very saddened by it, but she was always comforted if, when we came out, she would come out of her house, even though she was having a hard time getting around.
Mm-hmm.
And my son-in-law are staying here again in the RV because they're building another house. They sold the house that they originally built close to us, and they're building again. And so all of us are here. My oldest daughter is in transition. My youngest daughter, her family is in transition. And so we're all here and we're sitting out under the carport, and she comes out to be with us, and we all love her. But we can tell, I mean, she can't even close one side of her mouth, and she couldn't lift her leg. She was having a time.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter came out and take the little boy to the bathroom in the night, and it's about 1:30 in the morning. She said that Sadie was just like she was disoriented. She didn't know where she was, and nobody was around, and she was breathing really hard. And my daughter just sat down and started comforting her. And she told her, Sadie, if you need to go, it's okay. We'll be okay. We know you're hurting. We know you need to go. And she got up to go to the trailer with the little boy. The dog got up and kind of followed her very slowly. But she went over to my son-in-law's truck like she was going to go lay down under his truck. And he had her since he was 19. And so the dog had been in the family a long time. Mm-hmm. And we got up this morning and we could not find her anywhere. My son-in-law got his drone out and went all over the pastures around us, the neighbors' pastures, our pastures. My little granddaughter and I went and walked the perimeters of the place. We went to another property that we had owned, and there was a barn on it. We went to see if she had gone in there. We just feel like she went off to die, but we cannot find her. We can't find her. And my husband and I have contemplated, was Sadie an angel? Was Sadie an angel? Because she just seemed to guard everybody, and she just disappeared.
Yeah.
Did God just take her up?
Yeah.
Because we have not found any evidence. We've looked in the skies to see if the buzzards are flying, if there's something dead somewhere. She's gone. No evidence of her.
Oh.
Wow.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Dave's dad used to call all of his dogs earth angels, and
yeah.
I know they're not like messengers, but they just seem like special creatures that help us.
Yeah. And know us. And, your dogs never talk back to you. You can have a discussion with them and they just listen. And that's a beautiful thing, Libby. Well,
you can see things in their eyes. Not all of them are like that.
No.
But I had another dog that visited me. She came from out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And this little dog looked at me. From her eyes, she looked like my mother. Oh. And my mother had passed away. But it was like, I believe that Jehovah sends these things to comfort you when you need comfort.
Yes.
And, this dog was just phenomenal. All the neighbors loved her. She was just a blessing.
Yeah.
But it's just strange that she just suddenly was no evidence of her anywhere.
She's gone. She's gone.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And it was funny because my husband and I, you always wonder about Lando. Lando was his husband. Mm-hmm. And we were discussing it. It's like, Jehovah just took her out because he knew that we were beating over her, and we ourselves down. She was. Yeah. And then my daughter, the youngest daughter, said she's raptured. she made that comment that I said, it's funny you say that.
Could you get?
But I bring these things up because right now, with all the things that are going on in the world, we can take comfort.
No, just a can. Wow.
But he is
Wow.
in control of all.
Yeah. Yeah. Julia says, I think it's a blessing that we as humans figured out how to domesticate certain animals as pets. And, I agree. There's a whole different things. I'm more of a dog person, but Patty's more of a cat person. Um, I believe cats are evil, but that's just me. Patty loves her cat, and the dogs might be dumber. I get that, but there's something beautiful about the way that dog looks at me when I come home and greets me, and the cats just look down at me and say, "Oh, he's returned." And it's I don't mean that. Patty has we have
I've
two.
always a cat they own you, so you don't want to be owned, Dave. So that's why the cat looks like
Yeah.
looks at you that way.
Looks down but in any event, the animals do extend our lives, especially when your children leave the nest and you're an empty nester like us. They become a bigger thing. They become a bigger part of your life than when you have kids running around and all that. And it's you start thinking how many years you've had some pets, and you start remembering what was it like 18 years ago or something like that, and it's mind-boggling.
Is that too full?
Well, and they do to our growth. They make us from the time that we have them make us a different person. And so I do believe that Jehovah knows
Yes,
when and where to put in your life at the time.
absolutely.
I take a lot of, especially when you look around the world and you see all the things, but we need to hold on to the things that we see that are good.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
our oldest come here because she's in transition too. And I see such a difference in her because she's out of the city. She's come here. She goes out to my garden where the flowers are and the chickens and the goats. And she gets up at sunrise and takes pictures of the sunrise every morning. She takes pictures of the sunset. She has reconnect. They reconnect. And I think it's very valuable.
It is.
This time in our being able to help them do that.
Yeah. Good.
Anyway,
God bless you.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Someone
shalom.
else speak.
Yeah, we're gonna let
Thank you
Dr.
for
Tabor come. And your dog, what was your dog's name?
Sadie.
Sadie.
Oh, Sadie.
We'll have Sadie in our prayers today.
Have some closure.
Sadie, such a lady. She was Sadie the lady.
Oh. Well, thank you, Libby. God bless and Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Tabor, are you still there? You still there, Dr. Tabor?
Yeah, I'm here on my phone though. I was walking my dog.
Oh, you wanna come back later, or can you talk
No,
now?
I'm gonna come back. Let one more person. No, wait, I got it. I have to find. I want to go on my iMac because the reception will be better.
Are you going
Okay.
outside?
No, I'm gonna stay here, Lori.
Is that Lori?
Hi, Lori.
Lori, you guys say hi. She said, "Hey." She's not dressed,
Oh,
but I don't have my camera on, so yeah, I'm calling it up now. It's how it spins. Discord updates 5 out of 6, but you can hear me, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
because see what it is. I'm on. Oh boy. So where do I go? I go to Horeb. Trying to switch. And I go to live, I think. I can just talk. You don't have to see me.
No, we don't.
picture of you.
We see a picture of you thinking, contemplating.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the me.
Oh, we just lost you, James. Okay. Next up is Chuck Dobbs.
Dad, no way.
Yeah, I got him to come in.
Chuck.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, Chuck.
Shabbat Shalom. It's been a while since I talked to you guys.
Yeah, I thought you kind of left and went back to the Christian ways that you.
I seriously doubt that.
Can you see? I don't think so.
You're in
Can you
bed.
see-
Looks
can
like
you
you're
see
in
me?
bed. Yeah.
Well, I'm visiting a buddy and his
Okay.
wife. Sharon's at home, so I
Oh,
came down for a few days just to visit.
good.
And
Good.
so I'm in my room, and I'm just laying here comfortably talking to you guys.
Okay, brother.
You look good, Chuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard there's a new season of Breaking Bad coming out. There's a new Breaking Bad. Are you going to be busy?
Oh, I think they passed me over this time.
Oh. What's up, Chuck?
Oh, nothing. I got David's text earlier that you guys are going to speaking about Daniel, and that's kind of my thing still. I had the pleasure of meeting with James and Flint back last November while he was up there, and we were able to spend some time discussing that particular chapter.
Well, what are your thoughts of that chapter? Let's just get your general thoughts of that chapter.
Well, it's one of my favorite chapters. It's something I read that I've studied for a long time as a kid for a long time. From a Christian perspective, my first experience with it, and I'm kind of off of that and found, I think, the true meaning of Daniel 9, and it's about the time that the 70 weeks. I believe these weeks are weeks of sabbatical years, which means they are jubilee cycles.
Yes. I remember.
And yeah, well, you should know. You put that PowerPoint together for me in about an hour and a half, and you did a marvelous job.
We were there. Yes, it was on a Feast of Tabernacles.
It really seems that 2024 timeline is.
Boy, did we really hit it good, huh, Chuck?
Man.
That's yeah. I believe that the 70 weeks just elapsed back in 2023 after Yom Kippur,
Mm-hmm.
and that we entered into the 71st cycle in this year in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, I think what we're seeing is we're starting to see the end of the old. We're in a new time period, and I believe within this 49-year cycle. Who knows how far it'll be? Who knows how long we'll make it through this cycle? But I believe we're going to see things start to turn around, and it's going. I think it's going to be quite obvious how God is going to bless. How Hashem is going to bless Israel in these wars. He's going to protect them.
Yeah.
No matter how bad it looks.
Yeah. I feel, I'm very involved, and I can't really talk about what I do with Israel, but
right.
I can tell you they're bracing right now. In fact, there are people that we know that say, "Can you take our families?" There'll be special flights out of Israel, and so we are going to probably be putting up 3 or 4 families.
I've got a lot of room.
Yeah, and the young men that I worked with, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little. They talk to me with a certain amount of desperation, and they're in the north. They're the intelligence brigade, and the slaughter that could start, and how Iran has backed them. I'm sorry, but they're just evil people in Iran, and they have these proxy people like Hezbollah and Hamas. Well, there's a lot that I just should probably not say anymore.
Sure.
But
No, I understand your position.
I feel very deeply about it, and I prayed about it, and I feel like I'm on the right side. I know this sounds, but I think of David and Goliath, given that my name is David, and
Right.
the nerve he had to walk down there to take on Goliath in this story, and the laughter that must have been going on. But he had the faith, and he knew He knew Jehovah somehow, some way. Not like I know him, but I think that's where Israel is right now. And if Israel ever lost and it was collapsed, the Middle East would be in just despotic turmoil, and true scumbags would be running the Middle East. Women and children they'd be slaves. They're already slaves. They're slaves now, the women that are in these, countries, and they're treated like cattle. And so I see a difference in Israel, and I see that a Muslim woman can get her PhD and start her own business. So
exactly.
I drive her own car. It's same age as a young Jewish man, or an atheist man. Doesn't matter if you're. So I think we're at this time. I think it's tumultuous and it's ever changing. And
Well, I see it as a new beginning.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a new beginning. If this is the 71st Jubilee, 7 and 1 is 8.
Yeah.
It represents new beginnings. This is a new beginning, and it's going to be good. Yeah. But we have to get through, I don't know how long a period of difficult times.
Yeah.
But it's going to be for the best.
Yeah. When I lost my son, I read the book, Why Bad Things Happen to Good People.
Yeah.
And it, God didn't say you're going to have this cherry life and that's the end of it. He says, that in the end it'll be good, but doesn't mean you haven't, Moses, think about Moses when he went through the desert after he was kicked out of Egypt, or he escaped from Egypt. He went through a lot of hell. And even in the end, he was not allowed to go into the promised land. So, yet the Yahweh or Jehovah spoke to him face to face and gave him the law and wrote it for him on stones. So I believe, even though you go through these bad things, it also makes you think differently about the world and the people. When I was in these other countries, I saw the long thumb of the Soviet Union on them: Hungary, Bulgaria, Romania, Czech Republic. I mean, they were all under this Soviet Union for so long, and talk about despotic people. It's just unbelievable. Anyways, it does change your attitude about things. And when I go there, these people, they love America for a reason. So anyways, I also wanted to say about the prayer, you have a righteous man. I think there's something here for us to learn. You have a righteous man, Daniel. I don't think there were people more righteous than Daniel. The righteous man, Daniel, praying for his fallen or his, sinning brothers.
Well, Daniel is, I believe, the only prophet in the Bible. 3 times in the book of Daniel, he is told by Gabriel that he was greatly beloved.
Right. That's pretty special. When Gabriel, what are there? There are 3 archangels spoken of, right? I mean, there's Michael,
Gabriel,
and Satan, or the other angels. Satan was an angel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Ross can correct me, or someone who knows the Bible better than I do. No, I'm only kidding.
Can I interject something here?
Yeah.
Okay, Mary Ann says God will show he's a miracle worker by protecting Israel. Mm-hmm. And I think in these prophecies, there are several ways that it says that God will make his name known to the nations.
Yeah.
By protecting Israel. Another one I think is he will open up the graves, and when people see that people will know that he is they will proclaim him in other ways. And Mary Ann says Raphael.
Oh, Raphael, yeah.
Raphael,
yeah. And where was Metatron mentioned? Metatron was also mentioned. I forgot. Was that in the book of Enoch, maybe? Much prayer is needed. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem daily. That's Miriam. Well, if people are coming out of the ground, I want to go over there to see if my son comes up. I'm just joking.
No, I don't. I'm not joking.
But David, I heard something the other day that Israel, and I think this was put out by the Israeli news, that they have a new weapon
Yeah.
to be able to handle all these rockets in the north that they know are coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to cost a lot less than the Iron Dome. I don't know what it is, but it's some type of micro beams or waves or lasers or something.
They've had that for some time, and you know, what can I say? I know much about what the U.S. is doing too. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about that, but believe me, they're on high alert. The United States Navy and the Air Force, the AFRICOM, everyone's on high alert because if these things starts, they don't want it to grow. That's I can say that without right. You know what I mean?
But if anyone watches Tom Nash on YouTube, he always gives a good
Analysis. Yeah.
And his latest analysis said that he thinks it's going to be tit for tat until Iran obtains the nuclear weapon capability that they want.
Yeah.
And right now they just want to keep the, tit for tat going until then. But, it's so unpredictable. We just don't know.
He said, and I believe this, the ego is bruised, so they have to do something, but they don't want an all-out war where they lose their fledgling nuclear facility.
Right.
But anyways, I'm going to get Dr. Tabor up here. He's been waiting patiently, and
Okay.
yeah, he's not up yet. I'm going to get him up. Shabbat shalom, Chuck. See if James comes up. There he is. He's coming up. Something's had. There he is. Hey, Dr. Tabor.
How's my sound? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, everything's good.
Okay, Chuck, I'll start with you. I had what I was going to say, but then Libby and Chuck added other things. So, Chuck, you are greatly beloved. Believe me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have on your knees, when you rise up, when you sit down, meditated, eaten, swallowed, digested Daniel more than anybody I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm aware of all the major interpretations. I certainly continue to consider yours, which is simple. Jubilees, it fits the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scroll community, this is BCE, BC.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had a 10 Jubilee countdown that they had figured out. So this idea of a Jubilee, it doesn't actually say years. I think many of you know it says heptads.
Yes.
70 heptads. And you go, well, what's a heptad? It's a 70. You then have to figure it out. I mean, it's a 7. Okay. As far as prophecy, David mentioned the Millerites, Adventists. I don't know. I think it's the water you guys drink. It's not the weather, Patty. You got some kind of a thing in your water.
Yeah.
I think so.
But I tell you that the 3 major indigenous American groups, the Mormons, upstate New York,
Yeah.
Russellites, which became the Jehovah's Witness, upstate New York, and Ellen G. White and Miller. And I put a link, many of you know this, but I have a series, I think it's 35 episodes of Bible prophecy through the ages. And if you start watching it, it's on YouTube. Don't get depressed by it being, you might think, well, it's overly skeptical, because I start out by saying, so far, all interpretations of the end times, whether you're talking chronology, events, or whatever,
Right.
of the end times, I'm not talking about Israel coming back to the land, but the Messianic era,
Right.
have failed so far.
Yeah.
And people over particularly the last 150 years since Miller, but it goes back to England even in the 18th century.
Yes.
And 17th century. 17th century, I'm telling you, Halley's Comet,
Yeah.
all of these things, the plague, everything fit. It was unbelievable how much fit. But, here we are several hundred years later. Now, that's not to say you should throw your hands up, but, there's a great phrase in the Gospel of Luke where the disciples ask our question, will you at this time restore the kingdom of Israel? And you might recall the answer, and I'm not quoting this as, believe this, but the phrasing. It's not for you to know the times and the seasons which Hashem has put in his order. And so we just have to keep that in mind. But it's important to study, of course. And Libby, I always touched by somebody who loves dogs and appreciates their divinity, spelled backwards. Right? We read from right to left, right dog, in all caps, and read it for me. You say, oh my God, Tabor said dogs are God. Well, they're God-like. How about mercy, compassion, unconditional love, care, sacrifice, name any virtue.
Loyalty.
They don't
Everything.
lie, loyalty, goodness. Who knows? Maybe a lot of other animals would be that way if we domesticated them.
And the human animals too.
Yeah. And then I wanted to say, I talked on the Sabbath, I was in the Zoom meeting about my trip and all. I don't want to do all that now, but I did want to tell you about leaving because it was kind of amazing. I had a month. Basically, I filmed with Simcha Jacobovici. He's revising his series that many of you know, The Naked Archaeologist. And the pilot episode is the search for the historical pole. So guess who got called? Guess who got called to fly over and film that? During the war, meaning last week. So I flew over. We filmed. I stayed with them for 7 nights. Wonderful time. All the kids. Even a dean now has decided to join the army. His best friend was killed. That's their son, their only son. But none of them are in combat right now, but one of the daughters is still, and the others are reservists. But it was a wonderful time with his family, with Nicole, his wife. And then the filming was so hard. It was so hot. But the content, it's going to blow your socks off. I mean, this is new stuff that we worked out. I got to meet Oded Galan, owner of the James Ossuary. We've got plans to go back in the Talpiot tomb and remove those ossuaries, and we'll finally be able to read the ones we couldn't read. Those of you who know that story. Anyway, but what I wanted to tell you is, so Monday, I'm all set for the best tour guide in Israel, Shimon Gibson, to take me on a Shapira tour for almost all day. Going to start in the morning at Christchurch Coffee Shop, see Reverend Plague, and just do Shapira's 2 houses, the shop, get pictures of the shop for a friend of ours, Matthew, that works on this material. He needs to figure out something about the brickwork or something. He's still not sure it's it, but it is. It is. And so we're going to do all that, end up at Tico House. And Simca called me at 11 o'clock. I'm in my beautiful little hotel room that was built in the 1800s, walls that are 4 feet thick in the Greek Quarter. And I got it from the owners of the Gloria because we bring students there. We probably brought them, 2,000 students over the years, all this.
Easily.
So he wouldn't let me pay him. And his hotel's closed, the big one, but he has this little, it's a house. It's a house in the old city. So I was in my room and the phone rings. It's Simca, the filmmaker. And he said, James, I want you to go to the airport now. I'm sending you a limo. I said, well, my flight's like tomorrow night and I have this whole thing. He said, I really think you should leave unless you want to stay in case hostilities break out. Now remember, I have a place in the desert next door to Dave and Patty's place. Plus, Jerusalem's actually the safest place to be if things break out. So it's not like, oh, I got to get out. I'm going to get killed. I'm so scared. I better run. No, not that at all. I've been in the Soviet Union. I've been all through Eastern Europe. I've been in much more risky situations back in the 60s and 70s. It's not that. It's my family. You can imagine Lori, the kids, her mother. James is over there and they might close the airport. And plus, I need to get back and do I have tremendous things I got to do here. Dave said he's busy at 65 or 6. You're Lori's age. I always remember you guys are all the same age.
65.
Yeah, 65. Well, I'm 78 and I thought I retired, and I swear I'm I'm doing 80-hour weeks, but I love every minute of it. And I've got a much bigger audience now. I have 66,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have a course now with 1,400 students. So it's really nice. Anybody can take it. It's not a credit course. Anyway, so I say, okay. He said, well, get packed. It was 10:30. Have you ever packed where you don't fold anything? I'm kind of a neat freak.
Yeah.
Like, fold the shirts, fold everything. No, just took everything I owned. It'll fit because it fit folded, so it'll fit unfolded. Literally just dumped it in. I'm talking toiletries, everything.
Yeah.
Sat on the suitcase and ran out and get to the airport. Now, the reason I'm rushing is I need to get to a Madrid flight, which I made because Madrid's my connection to the US with American Airlines. I go various ways, but I like going through Spain. My son lives there, my older son, Nathan. So I like going through there. I wouldn't see him. There wasn't time. But my flight was to leave the next night and then Tuesday fly back. And all of a sudden I'm on Sunday night at the airport. Providentially, I met an amazing guy sitting in the lounge. I have points enough with American to get into the lounge, which is nice when you're going to fly all night with no sleep. And Ben Cohen, as it turns out, from Toronto, who knows Simca, was sitting next to me. And, you talk because like we were the only two in the lounge at that hour. It was getting way past midnight. And he goes, what do you do? And you know how that goes. Mm-hmm. And now we're like best friends. He's from Canada. He went to McGill. All kinds of connections. He's a tzaddik, I tell you. He's a great guy. He's a builder. He builds hotels. So I got my flight and I arrive in Madrid. And then I realize, oh boy, I've got almost like a 24-hour wait now in an airport. So do I go to a hotel, whatever? And then I looked on the board and I saw a flight to Charlotte. Hey, there's one every day. I'm thinking Tuesday I leave. Now I'm there Monday. And there's a flight to Charlotte at 12:20. And it is, 11:30. So I call American Airlines. I'm just telling it because it's kind of an adventure. I call American Airlines. I say, can you change my ticket? Well, it's a catch-22. She says, well, I see you're the next day and the plane's full. If I can cancel that, but I can't buy you another one. And I can't move you unless you want to pay for two. I said, well, of course not. I don't. Okay. Are you willing to let me cancel it and go grab this other? And there's only one seat and you'll have 20 minutes before they close the gate.
Oh my gosh.
I go like, do it. Yeah. You should save me. I get to the security. I'm already inside, but you have to go through a terminal security. No. And they go, boarding pass, please. Well, I don't have a boarding pass. I just changed my ticket. That's not shown up yet. And so I said, can I change my flight? I'm talking like, I changed my flight. Can I show you my old one for the next day? And she goes, that won't work. But in your case, you seem pretty worked up. Yeah, I'll take it. So she scanned it. And, it just said, oh, the guy came a little early. He really believes in not missing his flight. He's like a day early. So I run like you've never seen me run. As you know, many of you, I have a limp and so forth, but I just walked 9 miles that day. So I'm in pretty good shape. All over Jerusalem, many adventures that day. This is Sunday. And I make it right as they're closing the gate. I get in my seat. It's an aisle seat. I'm so happy, but it's economy. I don't normally fly business. I don't have enough miles or I give them away to my kids. But I made it. So I just wanted to tell you that. But I wanted to stress that I would just as happily be there with Simca right now. I don't think, whatever happens, it happens. And I would be glad to be with my friends in Israel. And I think it would be encouraging to them. But my thought today to share with you in terms of the Sabbath, you notice David read from the Moses scroll. And I'm finishing up Restoring Abrahamic Faith. I hope to do it before I make another international trip in September to put it out. This is a book I published way back in 93. It's in the 3rd edition. Now this will be the 4th edition. And I have a section on the name of God that's new. This is all new because of the Moses Scroll. And you were talking about Clody and the Most High. I love Most High, El Elyon. And it builds off Elohim. And I think for me, Elohim, your Elohim, is the basic name. And I tell my students, and they love this, and I think you all will love it if you haven't heard it. Force of all forces.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate force David just talked about. The force of all forces. Where the physical forces, and we also think they're probably what we would call consciousness forces, all merged together into one. That's our God. Then you ask, is that God, is that force of all forces like magnetism, or could I talk to it? Could I? And what the scriptures reveal to us is it's not very far from each one of you, and in it you live and move and have your being. And I just quoted 2 Greek poets, and they had it right, the pre-Socratics, right?
Yeah.
Now, they knew this. They didn't know how to name it, but they knew it. The force of all forces. Yes, it's personal. Are you personal? Then it's personal. It, meaning the force. I don't even want to use the pronoun. It just keeps saying the force. The force is personal. How could it not be personal? If it's not personal, you're greater than the force of all forces. I just said the force of all forces, by definition, has to be greater than you because you're immortal. Agreed? Is that logic? That is logic 101. Otherwise, Dave and I would be the force of all forces, or whoever of us was stronger would be the force of all forces. Yeah. Okay, so my dog's not running the universe. I'm not running the universe. But the force is. And yes, you can talk to the force. And then what the rabbis say is name the force. And then you get into things like El, it's always El, force, power. El Elyon, same, I just said force of all forces. El Most High. It's the same thing. So notice these names all mean the same. You got to say Yehovah or Yehuah, or he won't hear you. Well, guess what? Call me Yaakov, as Bob Dylan says. You can call me Jimmy, you can call me Zimmy, you can call me what you want. But I am James Tabor. That's what I go by. I'm me and you're you. No matter, you could even change your name. It doesn't change you. So what is the name? Well, then they try to explain it, and it's beautiful. In other words, I prefer Elohim or even El Elyon, but El Shaddai. They're starting to describe the force with the name. You see what's happening?
Yeah.
Like Elohim is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in steadfast love and truth or faithfulness. Okay, I'm describing it. Shaddai is shad, breast, to nurse. And picture this.
Yeah.
I'm a woman or a man holding my baby. Shad is also to destroy. See, look. It's also nipple. So I have the baby against me, protecting. So the baby's feeling the love, and I have the strong arms to protect. Now,
nurturing and protecting.
Yeah. And isn't that amazing when you think of God, or the force? I'll say the force.
Yes.
And then finally, Yod He Vav He, the scholars say, oh, it's the verb to be, and it means he will be, or whatever. And we know that when Moses asks, he's given 2 answers and 2 different sources. And I love the what is it? Yeah. I will be who I will be. I just had a blank there on the verb. I think it's the imperfect. I will be who I will be.
Right.
Ihye, I share Ihye. I'll be who I will be. But Yehovah is in the Jewish literature where they say, Hu Hove, he who is, Hu Haya, he who was, right? And Hove is the present, Hu Hava, and then Yihye, Yeh.
Who will be.
Together, will is was. I love that because what they're really saying is you can't name the force if you're thinking of a name as a limiting characteristic.
Right.
Like you say, God is merciful. Well, God is also just. So you didn't name him. So what they go for is time, and I think that stops the mouths of us all. I don't know where I was in the year 1924, 100 years ago today. I don't know where I was. I don't think I existed. I don't know where I'll be in 100 years, but I won't be here talking to you. Whereas Yehovah will be, it's interesting that it starts with will. Future is right now gone, right? I mean, present and then past. That's what we study when we do history. Do you realize no other nation ever came up with anything like this? People use El, but it's more like, oh, the powerful one. That's that God on the mountain that throws thunder down and burns us if we don't, offer our children as sacrifices. So that's not the meaning. But when you understand on this level, it's very profound and it's universal. El, this is in the book of Numbers twice, is the Elohim of the Ruchot, the spirits of all flesh.
Mm.
So you want to know who God is the force of the spirits of all flesh. Your spirit is connected to God's spirit, especially as a human being, but I think dogs and cats and all the other sentient beings as well. I have a book here, What a Fish Knows. Oh man, you should read it. You think fish don't know things? Oh, they got little teeny brains. Oh my goodness. They have radar, they have sonar, they know things you've never dreamed of.
Well, isn't it interesting how the word ruach is spirit and breath?
Yes, it is. And just to think that Elohim is the Elohim of the spirits of all flesh. I think it's number 16. I'm not as good at naming the verses as Ross is, but I have it written down. I love that phrase. So realize how universal our faith is and how simple it is. You know how we say, keep it simple, stupid?
Right.
Think of it like this. Here's your faith. The force of all forces, you are made in the image of the force of all forces. The nature of that force is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in steadfast love. And it's then translated, he will not always clear the guilty. I'm not going to go into that. I have a video on it, but it's a mistranslation. It doesn't say that. So I'll tantalize you. You can go find that. So that's the nature of the force. And then how then should we live? If we're reflecting the force, how should we live? Well, it's actually written in your heart already. It's the don't do to others what you wouldn't want done to you, and do unto others what you would want done. That's it. Hillel and Jesus, they got it nailed. And the Buddha, let's give him credit. So this is so universal that we need to emphasize. This is not Judaism. This is not a religion. This is actually a scientific philosophy of existence. And
So
how
I
would
understand,
go ahead.
is love a force? How does love factor in?
Well,
Is it a
merciful,
force?
it's
Emotion.
actually the force of that one, that nameless one, is love.
Yeah.
Merciful is chesed, gracious. And so, and then the 10 words would be the practical breakdown of what that would mean in a society. You just think about it. Obviously, you wouldn't steal, lie, cheat, commit adultery, all these things.
Mhm.
And then the Sabbath is the icing on the cake, as we say. It's actually we always say the first commandment is about diet, which technically is true, except the first commandment, you might say, well, it's not a commandment. How about this? And Hashem sanctified the seventh day and made it holy. Say, well, that's not a commandment. Made it holy for whom? For the humans he just created. So
For me.
the first command in the Bible is remember the Sabbath. You need to tell people this.
Mm.
it's not be fruitful and multiply. It's, you say, well, it doesn't say remember. Think about it. If it's holy and sanctified, and you go, well, I don't care about it, I'll just trample it, then it wouldn't be holy. It's holy and sanctified by us, meaning he set it apart for us. The Sabbath is made for humans, not humans for the Sabbath.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the first command. And the others are commentary, and most nations recognize them, they just don't follow them. Like, you think Putin doesn't know that lying, stealing, cheating, murdering is wrong? Of course he does. But he thinks he can get away with it, and it gives him power. But he knows it's evil. And if someone did it to him, what would he say? What do they say all the time in the UN? They reflect all the high morals in all of their speeches. You see this Palestinian horrible person talking in the UN, what does he do? He reflects all the values of the Bible while violating them totally, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says, well, the Jews, they're immoral and they steal. Well, what's wrong with that? I thought, like, you don't have standards. Oh, we do have standards. Oh, but you don't live by them then. You're willing to rape women and so forth. So that was my message about the name. I think it's so inspiring. And when we talk to people, don't present it as religion. You know how Christians go, I'm not religious. You know, I just have a relationship with Jesus. Okay, I know that's kind of simplistic, but there's something to it. By religious, we usually mean like, what identity card do you carry? You know, what's your tag? What if you said my tag is the force of the universe and us being in touch with the highest possible force and being reflective of that nature of that force? So, and I think people will be more open. They don't think you're leading. The United Israel World Union is an educational movement. It's not a church. It's not a synagogue. It's not a religion. It's an educational movement. When it was first formed, there weren't 501c3s. I don't remember the letters, but you know, the IRS had different letters. It was actually, I've got the charter. You know, dear Mr. Horowitz, you are officially approved as and it was educational institution or whatever the word they use, corporation, I think, or something. Educational. Well, what are we doing now? Talking about this and that and, you know, our spiritual experiences and so forth. So it's so liberating to people. If you're with us, your quest is over. Not that your quest is over, meaning you've come to the place where you don't have to go, oh, where should I go now to find the one and the true because, hey, share with us what you know.
Right. I'll learn. So.
I mean, do you know Ross Nichols, how open he is?
Absolutely.
Go down and spend a day with him. Believe it or not, he might not have a day, but he'd give you 2 or 3 hours, I guarantee you. He wouldn't care if you said, I believe Jesus Christ is sitting at the right hand of God and he created the world and he's divine and I worship him. He'd say, yeah, I used to think that. Let me tell you how I followed that Jesus out of that view.
Right.
That's Ross. So
yeah. We'll discuss it nonetheless. And that's the great thing about United Israel. Yeah. We're still entertaining these thoughts and discussing it with other people.
And we're universal. We're as universal as the Torah. We are a house of prayer for all people.
Yes, we really are. We really are.
House of prayer for all people. We're the temple. You say, oh my God, are you saying that sounds like Christianity? Have you not read Isaiah 66? Right. Heaven is my throne, the earth is my footstool. What is the house you will build for me? To this man will I look. Right. He who has a humble and contrite heart and trembles at my word. That's the church, so to speak. That's the synagogue. That's the body. Every individual that yields is part of the group. We're just a way to organize it, talk about it, have outreach. We're just a practical, and we believe it's universal.
James, Nikita calls us. She'll always say, Nikita's on now. She always says, Shabbat Shalom to the congregation of the Most High.
That's Nikita, sorry, I said Clody, but I've heard Cody say most times.
It's Nikita who says that, and with such soul in her voice.
Sorry to take so much time. I got to go, but take care, everybody. See
All
you.
right, James.
Jason, thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah,
Talk to you.
we'll see you. Brave warrior. I was going to throw out another thing. If you want to listen to a song with beautiful lyrics, Todd Rundgren, "The Verb to Love" is a beautiful song. You might not like it's a very kind of poppy song that Todd Rundgren wrote, but it is a beautiful song, and it is 100% correct on the verb to love.
Is anyone else going to get up?
No, is someone out there?
Well, Lynn Lawrence just signed down here, and I want to say Shabbat Shalom to all of the YouTube.
Yeah, YouTubers.
And Lynn Lawrence just signed on and said Shabbat Shalom. So
Oh, good.
I wanted to thank all the YouTube people for joining us. And you can type something in the YouTube chat that you would like to say. We'll try to get that out there too.
Yeah, eventually.
Okay, but tonight I think that we're ready to
we're
close.
We're going to close it up. It's been a long week, but Miriam always asked us to read this as we go out. So it's so powerful.
Shabbat,
Kind of a number 6, 24 through 26. Jehovah bless you and keep you. Jehovah make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Jehovah turn his face towards you and give you peace. So Shabbat Shalom. And Ross has got a great new live tomorrow. It's a great thing, and there'll be a Zoom afterwards. So we got plenty of time to share. And we want to say we love all of you, and thank you for tuning in. And God bless all of you. Shabbat Shalom.